Hey everyone, welcome back to BDG Reviews. As obviously you can tell, something a bit different this time. I'm just gonna show how to make, simple YouTube thumbnails. You know, um, it's just something that's good to know. What I'm using for this is Photoshop. It's pretty much the same on any photo editing software though. So let's get into it. I've created a folder called Thumbnail. This has what we need in it. It's got the template, and I'm using this Rambo 4K cover scan. So first up, like obviously, we we open up Photoshop. Uh, I'm recording the talking part of this while this is actually happening. So I can't really cut anything out or anything. So just don't mind me if I witter on when when nothing's happening. Okay, so here's the template. As you can see from the image size, it's 1920 by 1080, 72 pixels, resolution. It can be pretty much whatever it is, but 19 by 20, 1920 and 1080 are what you really have to worry about. Those are YouTube thumbnail, that's the size. Okay, so from here, we of course want to open what we're using. So in this case, it's this Rambo 4K. Sometimes it's a bit slow, but, is what it is, right? Okay, so when it comes to making thumbnails, there's sort of two ways you can go about it. I'll show you both as, this is just your standard. It's just going to show the cover. I'll show you. Well, obviously, you're going to watch and see. So, yeah, using this selection tool, you select the part of the picture you want. Then you click Edit and Copy. And from there, you go back onto your template, and you go Edit and Paste. Okay. Now, as you can see, the picture is, a little bit too big for the screen. So, you Edit, Free Transform. And what you want to do now is you want to hold Shift and resize it, because holding Shift will force Photoshop, at least, to keep the same aspect ratio when you resize it. So it keeps the left and right and the up and down just what it needs to be. Okay, so obviously there it's a little small, so again, free transform, Shift, just make it a bit bigger like that. Okay, and these template lines are just to show you the middle. Then what you want to do, quite simply, is just pour black onto the background, and then that's using the little bucket tool. Just go Layer, Flatten Image, File, Save As, and just call it Rambo 1. Don't know why I said Rambo, but and save it as a JPEG file. That's kind of important because you don't want the size to be overly big. Quality 12 and maximum, it is what it is. It'll set it at what it's going to be. So now we'll close both of those, and we'll just take a look at the actual thumbnail. Again, sorry about the slow loading. Unfortunately, nothing I can do about that. Okay, so there's your thumbnail. Like I said, this is like just a really simple, just quick, just add to your video, say this is what I'm reviewing or whatever. Now we'll get into the second type. So again, we'll open up the template. I should have probably just left this left this on, and we'll also open with Photoshop. We'll yeah, I should have just left that on. Sorry about that. Okay, so yet again, we'll take the same picture and edit and copy and edit and paste, edit, free transform. And what you want to do this time is, again, you want to hold shift, but you want to make it bigger. And if it gets a bit too big for the screen, like you're seeing there, just zoom out and just keep going. Make it up to the full size that you want it. And then just align it on the screen so the thumbnail looks, kind of how you want it. Sometimes when enlarging, this luckily is a pretty high quality picture, but if you have a lower quality picture, sometimes you have to go into the filter tab, go down to blur, and over onto Gaussian blur, and then just adjust the Gaussian blur, and it'll just, take out some of the speckles and everything. Okay, so from here, what you want to do then is just go into the text tool, which is the little T, and just click on the thumbnail and type in like a Rambo version 2. Okay. Now you see the 2 didn't show up. That's just this font. You can change the font up here. Change it to anything that you have installed on your computer. I'll just, I don't know, I'll go with that, I guess. Now, interesting thing here is from the, normally if you were going to resize this, you just select all the text and then go up to the text size thing here and change it. As you can see, I got it the max that it is showing. But an interesting little tip, if you will. Again, just go to Edit, Free Transform, hold Shift, and you can change it to any size you want. Then just place it wherever you happen to want on the screen. Now, here's something that just really helps flesh it out a bit. Go over to the right-hand side where you see the layers, and right-click on the text. You'll see all these options. You want to select blending options. And when that opens, this is the section where you can really change how the text looks. So, you go to drop shadow, for example, and then as you can see, well, on here, drop shadow, click on it. As you can see, so right now you can't see much of a difference. So just crank it up to 100, and then just adjust the spread and the distance and the size. As you can see, you can give it a nice shadow behind it. You can also do like a bevel and emboss to it. You can't really see that one too well, but a good thing also is this, the color overlay. You click on that, and you can choose, how any color that you want to change the font color to. We'll just go with white because that kind of works, right? You can also do gradient overlays. So you can do black to white or whatever. All these different options. Again, like I said, I'll just stick with white because that looks kind of good. So from there you can then you can do pretty much anything you want. One thing that I found works kind of really well is click on layer 1, and then down here click this second button. It'll create a second layer over top of it. And one thing that I find works really well, you just put black in that layer, and then just lower the opacity on it, and you can adjust the darkness without adjusting the darkness of the actual picture. It's just a little bit easier. You know, if you want like a darker cover, you want like, you know, the full brightness, you can do that. You can do pretty much anything you want. Another thing that works quite well is if you go over here to, again, the paintbrush, not paintbrush, the paint bucket, you click on gradient tool, and then you can make a gradient from the two colors you have selected. So I'm using black and white, so just do that. Or vice versa to do it the other way. You know, come here. And then from there, again, just adjust the opacity. You know, it can give you like a bit of like a different look. Another thing you can do, this is one I always found worked really well. Click on the layer, go to filter, go to render. Where's render? Click on difference clouds. And then filter, and control F will do it again. Just keep doing it until you find one that you kind of really like. That one looks okay. And again, change the opacity. Just gives it like a fogged over type look. Kind of neat. You know, something a bit, you know, a little bit different. But, you know, for this particular one, we're going to get rid of that layer and just do a nice, you know, plain thing. So we'll flatten the image. File. Save as. Do Rambo. Why do I keep doing Rambo? I don't know. Rambo 2. I saved that as a PSD, which is not what you want to do. So just go back and make sure you save it as a JPEG. Like I said, it just works for the size, and it's one of the most easily used formats. So throw that down, we'll just take a look. And there you go, there's version 2. As you can see, this is just a simple tutorial, but, you know, it's the sort of thing, not everyone puts thumbnails for their videos, you know, and you don't need a whole lot of like Photoshop skill or anything. Honestly, all of my skill is self-taught, so if I can do it, pretty much anybody can, you know. And so yeah, that's 2 different versions of a thumbnail. I'll leave this temp file, the template file, down in the description. If you feel like trying this out, you know, just go for it. You know, what's the worst that can happen? You burn like maybe an hour at the most. Yeah, but that's it for now. See you next time. Where's the